Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, y'all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought, of course, that I would talk about the up and coming fight once again between that of Mr. Naoya Inoue, the Japanese monster, and of course, Stephen Coolboy Fulton, the American champion, I believe, at 122 pounds, which I believe is super bantamweight. If I'm wrong about that, someone correct me. Anyways, this fight, of course, is going to be upcoming on this Tuesday, at least for me, within that of the United States. And now there has been a little bit of a controversy. For those of you, of course, that have not heard the most recent news, Steve Von Coolboy's Fulton trainer, I believe, is concerned about the way that Mr. Inoue wraps his hands and believes that he is quote unquote double stacking or creating a casting effect, which would create a hardened effect with that of the punches. Some people, of course, agree with that of Steve Von Coolboy Fulton's trainer. Some people, of course, disagree. They don't see much of a difference. But anyways, I just thought that I would review this little video real quick. I just thought that it'd be very particularly interesting, kind of give my personal thoughts on it, and I'm going to review a short little video on that of Mr. AKHi TV. But let's see overall what he has to say. Let's see what the situation is about.
Breaking news. Fulton trainer accused Inoue of loading up his gloves by stacking his hand wraps, where he threatened to pull his fighter out of the fight if this issue is not resolved. Here is exactly what Fulton trainer had to say during the press conference. Check it out.
I have a safety concern that I would like to address. In previous fights, Inoue and his team has wrapped his hands with an excessive amount of tape on his skin, then placing gauze and more tape, which creates a cast.
というのも前回の試合では自分たちにとってあまり納得のいっていない結果にもなり、自分たちにとってはこの試合こそしっかりとクリーンに行っていきたいと思っています。
This is not an assumption, I have proof. We could also wrap our hands in the same fashion, but then again, where is the level of safety for the fighters?
そしてこの試合そのものが選手たちのレベル、そして選手たちの質を下げることのないように祈ります。
If this issue isn't resolved, I would not let my fighter into the ring.
そしてこのような問題がまだまだ起こるようでしたら、選手たちがリングに上がる意味はなくなってくると思います。
We are already behind enemy lines. We have made no request, nothing at all. We have not even asked for a rematch clause. This is the only request that I'm demanding.
Now, of course, just to commentate on this, and to be honest with you, I cannot say that I am the most experienced with the quote-unquote double stacking technique, but if Inoue does quote-unquote double stack or whatever he does with his hand wraps, this is actually not an illegal maneuver. For certain people overall that are wondering about the certain rules, it is legal in certain areas in that of the U.S. I believe it's legal in Las Vegas. Keep in mind that there was also a very similar controversy, I believe, with Canelo Alvarez when Abel Sanchez complained about Canelo Alvarez's hand wraps. And it also was a very similar controversy, I believe, with that of Felix Tito Trinidad. However, it was quote-unquote legal within that of a multitude of the sanctioning bodies. It was legal within that, I believe, of a certain amount of arenas, and Japan is one of those areas.
I expect this issue to resolve and the fight to go on. This is a big fight. It might not feel like it in the States because old media didn't want to see this fight, since Fulton has a huge probability that he's going to pull off the upset against their...
I agree that both fighters, in my view, that they both have a great chance to pull off the fight. Who am I personally favoring? Once again, I am going with that of Steve Von Coolboy Fulton. I just think that Inoue has never really even close to fought a style like his before. He is visibly a little bit smaller than that of Fulton. And I'm not trying to use that as an excuse. At the end of the day, if Inoue is supposedly the #1 pound-for-pound fighter, he does need to win this fight. But there is certain things that both fighters, in my view, will be able to take advantage of. I just have Steve Von Fulton winning, combined with his size, combined with his skill set, and combined with the fact that, in my view, that Brandon Figueroa fight, it showed me a lot about Mr. Steve Von Fulton and his ability to handle pressure and adjust in certain situations. So I am going to be picking him to win the fight. But once again, as for this controversy, I understand certain people's opinions on it. But at the end of the day, it is legal in that of Japan. And if you possibly had this concern, you could have brought this up months ago when it came down to it, but you decided to bring it up about 2 days before the fight. Now, maybe he only recently just realized it, but is this maybe just a ploy to possibly, mess it up or get in Mr. Inoue's head? Who knows? Or maybe he just realized it. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe he just realized it, but at the end of the day, there really is no controversy here because, once again, it is legal in that of the country of Japan. And even if this ended up happening in Las Vegas or a couple other areas, Texas, in that of the USA, it would be legal. So at the end of the day, not much would really change, even if it was moved to America. So Steve Von Fulton, if his team does believe that there is going to be a certain advantage or disadvantage, it would be very intelligent of them to possibly do the same thing.
Hopeless that they pushing to be pound for pound number one.
But if Inoue does end up winning this fight, you can expect a certain amount of the LDBC and new media channels to say that, see, the only way that they can beat our fighters and the only way that they can become potentially number one pound for pound is if they quote-unquote cheat. And listen, I understand the quote-unquote casting effect, but Inoue is not the first fighter that's ever had this quote-unquote controversy around him. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a supporter of cheating with the hand wraps in any way. But this is not a Margarito situation. This is a situation where it is completely legal. And Inoue has never been caught before doing anything advantageous really with his hand wraps in terms of not being in accordance of that of the boxing rules.
However, in Japan, this is probably the biggest fight in the history of the sport in Japan. So you best believe they not even going to let Fulton leave the airport if this fight doesn't go down. However, as far as the hand wrap issue, stacking is a real thing. It's illegal in some countries, and some other countries is legal.
Yes, absolutely. So if Mr. Inoue does end up winning this fight, there should be no talks about quote-unquote illegal actions or anything like that because it is legal. It has already been settled. Whether you agree with the stacking rule or not, that's up to you. Personally, I maybe would disregard the rule. I personally would say that, or not disregard it, excuse me, but I personally would probably not allow certain stacking rules in my personal view. But at the end of the day, it is legal.
It's illegal in some states, and some other states it's legal. So Inoue is going to get away with whatever.
But once again, if Inoue does win this fight, and as you've just seen with AKHi TV, he said Inoue, or Inoue as he so calls him, that he's going to get away with anything that he can get away with. Well, it's not really getting away with anything if it's quote-unquote legal. So once again, they're going to allege that, see, if Inoue beats this guy, the only way that these guys like Fury and Inoue can win is if they cheat when it comes down to it. So, once again, they already have a little bit of a ploy in mind to not give Inoue credit. And once again, I get it. In my view, the stacking rule probably should not be legal in any of the states or any of the countries, in my personal view, if it does create that hard of a casting effect. If it truly does, do that. But to be honest with you, I can't really claim 100% knowledge of that because I've never personally used the double stacking with my hand wraps, or, I've not been in the professional boxing scene or to really declare that. So I can't really tell you. But what I do know is that it is quote unquote legal in Japan.
That he can get away with. It was fishy when Inoue complained about random style drug testing. Then all of a sudden, coincidentally, he suffered an injury. Therefore, Fulton team can't put anything past Inoue. They have to be on their P's and Q's inside and outside of the ring, since they are fighting in Inoue home country. Inoue is a hero in Japan. However, as far as Fulton pulling out of the fight, he came too far to do that. You could see.
I agree more than likely. I think Fulton is going to go through it anyway. And I think that, to be honest with you, that I don't think much is really going to change about this because the trainer can mention whatever he wants to as long as it is within the rules and regulations within that of the boxing commission over there. And also even within that of the United States. It is what it is because it's not like this is just legal in Japan. It's also legal in parts of the U.S. and other parts of the world. So at the end of the day, I also see the fight going through.
That this wasn't just news to us, this was also news to him. the way he reacted to his trainer threatening that he will pull his fighter out of the fight, it was news to Fulton. So at the end of the day, or at least the night I see this fight going down, and I see Fulton hands being raised. With that being said, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below. And to be continued on the next episode of AKHi TV. Peace.
Anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. I just thought that I would give my little opinion on it. Do I believe that there is much of a story here? Not really, because once again, this is within the rules and the regulations. A lot of the LDBC and new media channels are going to bitch and moan. And listen, I get it. If it were up to me, I also would not allow the stacking rule. Or I would not allow those type of hand wraps if they do truly create that much of a casting effect. Manny Pacquiao, I believe, wrapped his hand wraps, I believe, in a similar way against Antonio Margarito. Felix Trinidad did it, I believe, for the majority of his fights. Canelo did it against Gennady Golovkin, I believe. So if there truly is that much of a casting effect, then yes, I also would not personally allow it. But unfortunately, in boxing, it is allowed, if it even does create that much of an advantage in the first place. So at the end of the day, there can't really be any actual controversy if it is within that of the rules and regulations. So it is what it is. But if Inoue does win this fight, once again, watch out for there to be certain channels, especially of Dante, AKHi, and all these other guys saying, see, the only way that they won was because of cheating. All right, just like they tried to do with Tyson Fury, even though there was never any actual real evidence with Tyson Fury. When it came down to it, except this with the double stacking rule, this would be more cause for concern in my view, because with Tyson Fury, there was no actual real concrete evidence whatsoever, absolutely none. With this, at least you can say that it might be an advantage if it does create that hard casting effect, but once again, it is legal within that of the boxing regulations, so there can't really be a controversy once again if it's within that of the legal regulations. So it is what it is. But anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. I just thought that I would commentate on that. Hopefully it will be a great fight. I do personally have Steve Cool Boy Fulton winning the fight in my view. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Inoue did pull it out. He is an exceptional fighter. So we'll see. But anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.